Cool. We are live. Moritz, you want to take it away?
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Ed. Let's see. Let's make sure that the streams are also live on YouTube and Twitter. But it should be, yeah. Then I say welcome everyone to this Meet the Maker session here, especially to Koty and René. Thanks a lot for joining us on our first Meet the Maker session. We started this format actually to share really experiences and information about building on Bitcoin and Lightning. And it could be really anything from the core protocol over web apps to a blog about Lightning. And also that's why we invite developers, designers, and content creators to join us here for these sessions. But especially also we invite any listener to ask questions to keep this session really interactive. And yeah, after all, it's for every one of us. It's a great chance to learn from each other. And I'm glad now that Koty and René joined us today. So yeah, welcome to the both of you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
So maybe like as a first introduction from the two of you, can you tell us a bit about your background and the first touch points in Lightning? Koty, if you want to start.
All right. Okay, so hello, guys, everyone who's listening or watching. My name is Koty Auditore. To make it short, let's say I became a Bitcoiner in 2020. You know, like at the start of the pandemic. I always say like basically at the same time as Sailor did, which is funny. And also, like I got involved into Bitcoin and mostly Lightning was because when I got to know Thunder. Back then, Thunder Games, I was just a regular player, but I like started like helping people into understanding. I mean, I took my time to read a lot and see a lot of like the Lightning documents and Lightning labs and this kind of stuff. So like to understand the underlying technology. Even though I'm not a developer, I like to read this kind of stuff. And then I was like helping people, newcomers into Thunder Games to understand what's Lightning, how to use it, and how to withdraw and so on. Then later on, I discovered also like LNmarkets, these French brokerage like Bitcoin derivatives. Almost same story. The only thing is that on that side there was like people are like more techie oriented, so they already knew about that. But like like sharing memes about trading and getting wrecked on Lightning in a self-sovereign way instead of going through Binance and stuff like that. At least you can do it directly from your wallet. And and then and then at the same time, it was like because I was like so involved in both communities and so on. Like it was weird because at the same time they offered me like to become the CM, the community manager of both. And then I just talked with both parties that the others, I mean, the other company was also offering me like a position as CM. And then we made an arrangement about timings and so on. And then they were all cool. And I was like, if you can do it, say, yeah, okay. And
Cool. Exciting story. René, what
in the
about you?
in the field.
Yeah, so I co-founded a software company back in my younger years and was working there, so I have quite some technical background. I was managing software projects and also involved a lot into business development. I stumbled into Bitcoin quite some years ago, but never really found the time to engage and try things, build things. So I decided at the end of last year to just take a year off of my regular job to really have some time focus on learning some things in Bitcoin and Lightning. And ever since, so I spent some time at hackathons, got to know quite a lot of very helpful people, and have been building in the Lightning ecosystem ever since. Yeah.
Cool. At which hackathon have you been participated so far?
So the first one was the one in Istanbul. I think it was in February this year. So the Lightning Hack Days were there, and it was a great event.
Cool. Why going to a Lightning hackathon in the first place? Actually, what fascinated you about it?
Back then, I just wanted to learn more. So I wasn't really into Lightning development at all before I got into this hackathon. And for me, it was really eye-opening to be there, to see all the people building stuff. Back then, we built a Lightning ATM, so you could like drop your Turkish lira coins into some machine and get some sats out of it. And that was basically the first project, but there were also a lot of workshops there. And that's where I stumbled upon Lightning on the web and all the potential use cases that could be enabled by incorporating micropayments into the web we already have. And this idea really got me going, and was very interesting for me to explore the area.
Yeah, if I may add my experience, I was in the previous hackathon in the Bot Fund platform. If I am not mistaken, was the third, right? It was the third hackathon you did. Second, okay. And then I mean, I had this idea I presented last time. It was this implementation of micropayments to vote for what kind of content you would like to listen in your podcast or your favorite podcast, no matter which, let's say, no matter which platform you're using, but integrating, you could use WebLN in it, or like from you accessing the browser in your smartphone, or even on an application like Antenna Podcast. It doesn't matter, just like integrating it right there from the podcast itself. To be honest, I haven't developed it that much afterwards. It was just the prototype is there, so it's like in the backlog. But it was a nice let's say experiment for me. Like I was there as a designer of the project, and like to feel the experience of being judged by the how to explain the value proposition of something that I haven't seen it tried yet, just tipping, but I wanted like to go extra than just tipping. And it was a really cool experience. Like Ed was really kind, nice. It was a nice presentation over there, like, and everyone in the judge, like you, Moritz, Roy, John. It was a really cool experience, and that experience gave me an idea that I want to share later on, but I have it in my mind. It's a suggestion. A cool one.
Yeah, that's why we're here for, really, to share experiences. And I'm curious, why did you choose Lightning to build this project in the first place?
Well, in my case, well, I mean, like, I do believe that Lightning has the potential to really become the layer payment of Bitcoin, at least to a greater extent. I don't know if like every single person in the world, like in the state it is, but at least it's like the best thing we got for now. So, and I think that if I find a way to make it easier for the end user, it would be like like people wouldn't feel like a difference in experience, like just by tapping in on play button or stop. Also like tapping on sending some sats and suggestions of what content you want. I want that kind of feeling, like I want to reach that. So I think Lightning it's in a way easier to integrate with any kind of technology for that kind of reason. Just not mixing Lightning to use it for something, just adding Lightning to something that already exists. I think it's the way to go.
I think that's a good point also. That's why I'm also interested now in René's current projects, but didn't you take a similar approach, for example, with the 21 value for value widget that you built that allows everyone to easily add it to any website?
Exactly, yeah, that was the idea, to make it easier for people to actually receive donations and build it into their own sites. You can just go on there, configure your widget, select the color, drop your avatar, and you're more or less ready to receive donations. Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, but as I
And
said
this
before,
is,
sorry. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I just wanted to add, this is obviously only possible with Lightning. I mean, you can't send amounts smaller than, let's say, $1 or something on current fiat rails. And this is a really interesting, thing to explore for me. Also on platforms like Bolted Fun, where they have this voting with sats basically, and you just, if someone votes on the platform, you see it in your wallet, and that's just a nice thing to experience. I feel.
Yeah. To the question, like more than I wanted to replace or do something different, I think that's something I already pointed out back then. Is like I wanted to add it this feature of like voting with your sats to all these value for value, let's say, methodology or protocol. So my hope was like actually someone was interested and just copy and paste it and put it in there.
Well, here we see this widget.
So I was scrolling through the Alby blog the other week, and I think this person did a guest post. And then at the bottom, I was like, oh, I recognize that widget. So it's really easy to use. Just select an amount of sats. Give them a note. And then you can't see it, but I'm actually confirm the transaction in my Alby wallet, and then boom, all done. So super easy, really great for people to integrate into their websites.
Yeah, nice. Like I mean, if somebody is like listening to me right now, like if you can check in their like histories and both fun, like about the previous hackathon, you can find my project over there. It's basically could be, I mean, you can add it to this kind of experience. It's just for stuff like could be used also for blogs or podcasts. Is more like an extra incentive for creators, because I think there is a problem with donations. Like donations is very like to your, it's like very, it's like so free that you wouldn't be as a donator incentivized enough. That's what I feel sometimes, to donate to someone, unless you say like, okay, I like this guy. Why you don't speak about this topic? So at least you have like an extra thing, that, and so you, okay, I wanted to speak about this. I'm gonna send you X amount of sets. So it's like just giving an extra tool or like incentive for the creators in general, like to have more chances to receive more funds or like more donations or payments into their project. So that's in my case. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe to rephrase that also a bit, the idea of value for value here, for the ones who are not so familiar with that, it is about, so if we consume content on the internet, we basically receive value out of it, right? We enjoy it in a certain way, and this concept claims that we give also value back. We give value back in the form of sats, for example, but not for a fixed price, because at the end price is subjective, but we give it back to the amount that we perceive it has the certain value. So we can either give back one sat, but we could also send back 100,000 sats. Really depends up on us how we perceive this value that we just consumed from this specific creator or publisher on different platforms.
Totally.
And in my opinion, it's a great case, at least for Bitcoin in the beginning, because it excludes no one, right? So you can still consume the content that is freely available on the internet. But now, if you really liked it, you have the chance to support this creator with micropayments or with any other bigger amounts, no matter if you already use Bitcoin or not. But I was also I was interested. So now both of you've been working on different Bitcoin Lightning projects. So very much as a developer or or on a conceptual basis. So what was the challenges that you faced during the development there? René, if you want to go first.
Yeah, just wanted to add one point to what Koty and you said before. I think Koty's idea is very interesting because it's a way of attaching some actions or some like votes to already existing channels, right? So it's still value for value as it is like in you giving a donation to someone. But you there is also this paradox of choice, right? Where you don't know the right price and stuff. And this approach could also like make it easier for people to not let them decide on their own, but have, let's say, 3 packages, and you can support either A, B, or C, and take part of the decision process of what, for instance, a podcast is speaking about or topics you're interested in. Coming back to your question, the main challenges, I think, in the beginning for me, it was to get to know the whole ecosystem a bit. So I haven't managed a node before myself, so I threw myself in there. All this channel management stuff and things like that, but also on top of that, what are like protocols can you use to fetch invoices? How do you present them to users? What kind of options are there? How does it work on mobile devices? And there have been quite some learnings on this way, I'd say, for me, to kind of get into it and know which tools are for what.
Well, for me, to your question, Moritz, in the beginning, it was because I was more like I had the idea and I went to a developer that he asked me to not say who is anyway, But the thing is, was asking the person like, look, I want this in a certain way. He was like, yeah, but is this not like value for value again? It's like, yeah, but, but it's like I just need to add this certain kind of stuff that René said it like even better than me. Like, for example, like presenting 3 kind of packages, like just for pushing some topics to add up in the arsenal, or like the options for the creator to increase their chances of getting donations in a better way, as he said, like the problem of, or paradox of choice. So to put that into a project was a bit of a hustle. It took me quite some time, and then afterwards was like getting the raw code and like reading it, and then like putting it to work with it gave some problems and so on, until like a little bit before the presentation, until it started like working properly, and then like presenting that to all of you, like not only from the, I mean, I had to read the code in case like something went wrong, or something to the for the presentation, because it was in a hurry. And but in the end, at least I could present it to you, and it's working. I mean, the code works and is there. And I think it was more like that thing in the beginning, and then like what, having like clear what's the difference, or not the difference, like what's adding to this value for value concept, let's call it concept, beyond the protocol itself. Those 2 were my biggest challenges.
Thanks. What about René? How you mentioned several. First of all, for example, getting familiar with Lightning. How did you approach that? Where did you look for information?
Yeah, that's where did I get all this information from? So I think the space quite evolved over the last, let's say, half a year. So back then I was like reading through LN URL specs, or like setting up a node for myself, reading about BTC Pay Server and what APIs they offer, exploring projects like LNbits and stuff, and getting familiar with this whole invoice concept, Bolt 11 and WebLN, and how do they all work together. I think though that also we created some nice resources to make it easier for people to get started. So one project we've been working on over the last few months was the WebLN guide, where you find all the information, for instance, in how to integrate WebLN into your application. And oftentimes it's just a few lines of JavaScript to get you started and send the first payment. So I encourage everyone to just give it a try.
Yeah, maybe for the ones who have not yet heard about WebLN, could you just shortly summarize what is WebLN about?
Sure. So if you pay with Lightning on the web today, you will see a lot of QR codes, and oftentimes that requires you to get your phone out, scan the QR code with your mobile wallet, and it's just not a very straightforward process. And WebLN is one approach to solve this problem. So you oftentimes have a browser extension or a wallet that supports that. And this wallet offers an API to websites to programmatically interact with your wallet. So the website can ask you to send a payment to someone, or the website can ask you to make an invoice or stuff like that. And this is done in a programmatic way. So the user will just see a pop-up, for instance, asking him to confirm the payment, and you're done. No need to scan any QR codes or copy invoices and send them to yourself, but just have like one-click payments on the web. Yeah.
Where can people find more about WebLN?
I think the best place to go to right now is webln.guide. Yeah, you will find all the specs in there. You will find code samples, and there's also a new section in there for key send payments. So you can also send boostograms, for instance, on the web to podcasters. Yeah.
So cool.
And
You already
if
mentioned
want,
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
and if you want to dive deeper, there is the Bitcoin and Lightning Layer spec group. If you have questions or feedback, we're always looking for input. Yeah.
Cool. You already mentioned that the space has quite evolved over the last half year when it comes to new resources of information. I think probably also Koty has quite some good overview about like the current scene of communities that pop up. Also as a in his role as community manager. Could you recommend something to like new people joining this community? Could be really everyone from simple users to developers, designers, content creators in this space.
Yeah. Um, um, what I can recommend is like, regardless of if you're a regular user or a developer or anything, in the end, like we have to keep in mind that we are developing payment rails to use Bitcoin as money. I mean, or that's what I believe. And for example, my experience mostly in the Spanish groups, because in Latin America, like, let's say the need for a harder currency or money and pay out like groceries and so on is like urgent. I bet in Africa as well. So people are like more willing to look for these alternatives. So at the same time, like promoting ways of having the tools for X feature or application. Also, like having the social, let's say, building the social network for payments, like for buying, selling either other currencies like Bitcoin and national currencies, or like remittances and so on, like from a P2P experience. No need to force. It's like, if you get like people, I mean, to be honest, like I would love to get more involved with you, at least in like a guest, or like just like supporting the projects and bringing some more people in and building bridges. And also like keeping in mind that now as a CM, you have to at least have one person like dedicated to these kind of roles, at least one, so he can like take the people and take their interest and ask questions and solve their problems right away, like what they need as a service. I mean, I will speak like, before becoming a CM, I was a waiter. uh, so one of the things I learned in this, uh, let's say, common profession is like, if you're gonna do it right, it's not only serving water and food, it's also like asking question of what people need or want. It doesn't matter. It doesn't make any difference. People, what they want or what they need is the same in the end when you serve something. When you serve something to in this case, community. So that's one of my suggestions regarding what, like having, if not, it's like no need to be someone who works for, but at least like if you notice someone who's like eager to be like jumping in, like asking questions from some from newbies, and so on. Keep that person in mind. Um, give them tools, like entice them, like, congratulate them. I don't know, like, like keep people involved, and the ones you see like are like kind of committed to the cause. Let's call it that way. Keep it in your mind, like, and give them the attention they deserve. That will increase engagement and so on. I said before I had a suggestion for bulk fund in general. It's just like, this is an idea I want to share with you, and then you play with it. I love we have this hackathon. I love the way it went through. It was so smooth. Ed is amazing. The judges were really nice. And then, but now that it's called like, we are makers. Like when you are presenting, you're a maker. Either you're a developer or a designer, or any role you are, let's say, in a team. Why also not include like projects to be granted or have a prize? Projects that involve businesses. Because one of the things that I noticed about the whole event is that was kind of like a cool Shark Tank. Not the Shark Tank like with Mark Cuban, like very asking for loans and so on. This was more like grants, but it was kind of the same way, like, because it's what's the value of it, how does it work? I mean, like, you have to present it and you're being judged. So it felt kind of like as I said again, nice Shark Tank, you know, a kind of one. So why not having something like that as well, and have like a section? You might start with something like maybe a small prizes, or like, or a section of people who think of a business using WebLN, using Lightning in general in their communities, and they present. And it's even more, you have Geyser, yes, of course, but Geyser is more open to crowd funds. Like you can have like a non-governmental project, or like no, I'm talking about a business. Someone, let's say, someone who comes, I'm gonna open a, I don't know, orange juice stand, and I'm gonna charge in Lightning. And then, okay, it might sound simple, but it's like, how are you gonna do it? How are you gonna charge people? How are you gonna be like sure that people will pay you in Bitcoin? And like, are you going to teach them? Are you, like, so they would present like a whole project of what they're gonna do to have a business that works with Bitcoin, because I think that's something that we all want to see. Like,
Mhm.
in the end, like, we need Bitcoin to be used in businesses, and people creating business and jobs for people like around the globe. So something like that would be like let's say, in a very very extreme scenario, someone is, let's say, don't have the funds to start something, but maybe the price is enough to at least buy a new phone and buy a stand, let's say, for this hypothetical orange juice stand, just to say something, and he can kick off from there, or she. Yeah, so that's a suggestion.
And the idea is that like bigger teams can present something in front of also a jury, and they get also a bit more funding, so that they can really start off product development process and have an
Yes,
MVP as an outcome and can test that.
yes, yes.
Mhm.
That I would love. I mean, when I was presenting this to all of you guys, I was like, in the back of my mind, I was having this like, imagine if this not is not only a project like for a feature or an application, but also like to take these applications that are presented in the hackathon. Imagine that someone takes one of the projects in the hackathon and they make it like they're gonna use it as for their business. That would be sick. That would be really, really, really nice to see happening.
Mhm. Cool. Yeah, I think Ed probably already has some thoughts, and at least from what I see, but probably also Ed here can add more information to it. The upcoming tournament, I mean, has quite some increase in prize money, so that
Yeah.
really might help already to kickstart like long-term development of on a project. What do you
Yeah,
think, Ed?
I think I'm gonna present my project again.
Well, you can. You're allowed to. You're allowed to bring projects that you've already done. Just need to prove like what you've kind of been doing within the time frame. But
Yeah.
as Moritz said, this next tournament's going to be a lot bigger, just in terms of like the prize money up for grabs. We've got, I think, like nearly 60K. It was about 3K. Sorry,
Yeah.
3 Bitcoin, not 3,000 Bitcoin, unfortunately. That would be nice. But yeah, I think that's actually kind of one of the problems that we're trying to address in this tournament as well, because we actually did a Stack of News AMA yesterday, and someone kind of brought up this point of what happens when these hackathons are really great and they last for a weekend, but then they kind of don't really go anywhere. And at the beginning of the session, right, you were kind of talking about your project where you're able to kind of like tip people to podcasts, or you're suggesting like talking points, things like that. And then you said, it's kind of just gone to the backlog. So
Yeah.
it's a great way to prove the point of like these hackathons develop awesome projects and ideas, and people come together, but they're like really short, sharp, and condensed, and they only last like a weekend. And then sometimes people kind of get like burnt out from them as well. So
Yes.
they're
Yeah.
surprisingly intense, and especially when it's just one weekend, people are trying to like hack loads in that weekend and try and fit it in around their day jobs. So it's a lot to ask of people. So the tournament tries to kind of address that issue a little bit, of giving people like loads more time so they can focus on quality of their project, and also hopefully at some over time developing like a bit more of a habit of working in their nights and weekends, which a lot of us kind of have to do on side projects. But yeah, in terms of the pitching and the funding and stuff like that, we are going to be having some workshops on that. So actually, Geyser and OpenSats are going to be doing a workshop, probably sort of mid-November, on how to basically go about trying to fund your project using grants. So that knowledge is going to be made available to makers who are looking to kind of like take it to the next level. And then obviously our main sponsors for the tournament, who are Folger Ventures, they are going to be having another chat with us and Max Webster from Hivemind, and also some of the guys from Lightning Ventures. We're all kind of going to be discussing like how to get your project funded from maybe a slightly more sort of traditional VC investment kind of route. But there are going to be office hours for that. Obviously, this time round, we're kind of have a round of finalists, and then they're going to pitch their projects live towards the start of December. So yeah, it is kind of like a Shark Tank. Hopefully a bit more of a fun Shark Tank. I mean, the idea of being in a Shark Tank for me is just horrid, but yeah, hopefully it's like a fun way for people to kind of like explore these ideas. And to be honest, yeah, the goal out of it is like, we do want businesses to emerge from this. Like, we do kind of want Bolt Fun, or these tournaments at least, to be maybe more of like an accelerator than necessarily a traditional hackathon. So you're not kind of left with, what am I going to do next? Like, we've already kind of showed you maybe a couple of things that you can do.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, I see the potential of this, so that's what I had like. I think this has to be more like, yeah, as you said, accelerator or something like that. It's just more free to people, like to present their projects. Still the same, let's say the same concept, but now with the addition that is more like a tournament with more time and so on. Way better, because I really rushed. it was really rushed. I thought the code wouldn't even work, right before I had to present it. So in the end, it did. And then I think you can call it Bolt Phone Bit Tank Edition, something like that. So I think it's a really cool way to go, because I've noticed a lot of people from, especially like, I mean, I'm both, let's say, in English, Spanish worlds, let's say. I speak both languages. Well, actually, I speak more Portuguese and French too, but I'm like focused more in Latin America and the rest of the world with English. So I've noticed there are some people that would love to start a business, but I think as a way for your project as both fun to also like promote themselves, it would be nice to have something like that. I'm saying like the Shark Tank as an example, but having like a program or like this kind of stuff, and it will make it like way more fun to watch, more competitive, uh, and bring people like not only like uh, programmers, but someone who, okay, I just have Wall of Satoshi and I'm gonna sell juices or sandwiches or and that's very basic, but I'm just saying anything, and that will make it like will serve you to also promote both fun for a bigger audience as well. Maybe for people who are not into Bitcoin, but they can see like, oh, look, these guys from anywhere in the world, they can get a prize for the project, and then get, oh, and it was paid in Bitcoin, and then they might follow the project, and it's going on and it's working, and say, okay, nice. So it make it like more dynamic. In this kind of stuff, everything has to be dynamic. People attention is too low.
Yeah, but I think you mentioned a very good point here. How do we get other communities involved? So in other regions, for example, in Latin America, and maybe the two of you can connect later on, and see what you guys
Sure.
can come up with in this regard. I think maybe before we also include some questions from the audience here. I'm also curious if you, René, do you plan to attend this hackathon? What do you plan to work on?
I definitely plan to attend to this hackathon. I haven't decided on a project though. I have one side project on my mind for quite some time now, and it's about vending machines. So everybody will know those machines. They stand in farmers markets or in those 24/7 shops around here. And the idea is to create like a reusable payment module that you can just plug into this vending machine and accept Bitcoin on your vending machine. And maybe I'm exploring this one for the tournament, but I haven't decided yet.
And someone can come up with that, and let's say you develop that, it's like, okay, I will take that, and I need and I want to have a, let's say, this Bitcoin Philippines stuff, and people say, okay, I want to put like 3 machines and plug this feature or this thing that you develop into these machines, and like, and they can start up from there. So from one, let's say, one prize or one project that wins a prize, there is another guy who will take it and take it further for
Nice.
the real life application, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Cool. Yeah, great idea. I like that a lot. So do we have some questions from the audience? Is there something that we can ask René and Koty? Yeah, there's a question from Oren. Do you only publish code, or are you maintaining a live service? And how do you handle legal complexities when it comes to Lightning?
Yeah, I can answer that for the widget website. So I don't have any emails or any data from the widget. Everything you configure in there is put into the embed code. So I don't even know how much the users received with their widgets, as payments are done peer-to-peer. So at least for that, I don't have a problem there.
Very cypherpunk.
Indeed.
Okay. I think that's also it from the audience. Maybe we will have another question soon. But yeah, also like to wrap it up a bit. What is next for you? Like anything that excites you when it comes to Lightning specifications, projects, something that you want to work on the next month and explore a bit. What's very high on your agenda currently?
Aaron, here we go.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, for me, I think it's it's quite some topics. So I'm currently exploring Nostr quite a bit. So for those of you who don't know, Nostr is like a protocol that allows you to sign messages with your private and public key pair and publish them to relays, so you can have kind of a decentralized social network. I'm currently working on integrating that into the Alby extension. This is one thing, but there are also quite a lot of other topics that are up on my list. So for instance, slash tags is one thing we're about to explore. But yeah, also some deeper integrations into websites with Alby, so you can really like see, you don't only have this extension icon in your bar, but have some kind of a more interactive experience on there. Yeah, I think those are the things I currently spend most of my time.
I think
What
that's a
about you,
question.
Koty?
Yeah, there's another question. Maybe Aaron can answer that. He's more into coding than me.
Yeah, sure.
And I'll explain what I'm up to.
Okay, so Johan asks, do you have a good reference for creating Lightning web apps with Node.js, React, or Angular tech stack? Actually, yes, there are, I think, quite some examples. Also, I have published a Lightning app template, which you can take a look at. You will find it on GitHub. It's a simple Node application that just aims to give you an overview about what you can actually do and how you would implement that server side. You'll have LNURL auth in there automatically, and maybe explore it from there. But there are also a few tutorials, I think specifically on integrating WebLN or doing some React widgets, which you'll find in the WebLN guide as well. Yeah.
All right. Regarding on my side, what I'm up to and focused on, I'm mostly focused on like advancing what Thunder Games and LNmarkets are doing, each on their own. On Thunder Games, we want to revolutionize the way we monetize our games. I cannot say too many details because still like very very raw. But what I can say is like if we can come up with something cool in the way we think, it can be maybe the whole internet way of monetizing will change a lot, and like leave this ad monetization way we have been living for so long, like on the side. And on LNmarkets, developing more stuff. I've been like in in LNmarkets, I've been like working side to side with the tech director into developing, let's say, like the user experience, the UX of the platform. Now, if you go into it, like looks way smoother. It looks nicer. We're focused on it. Like I think last week we were doing like some adjustments because we included the sat symbol into our platform, the one that looks like a kebab. and some people loved it, some people hated it, so we had to come up with like a button, a toggle, so you can switch if you wanted to see it or not, and this kind of stuff. Yeah, and so we have been like very, very busy in that side. And but something that, like, let's say, besides Thunder and markets, René said it well, is like I'm also like I'm mostly a reader, but I'm also like in the group of Nostr development. So I'm like one of the things that I am aiming for next year is like raising some funds myself and promote the use of Nostr in many applications and many stuff, around with the communities and so on. And because I do believe that, I don't know, but Nostr, I think it's a really, really huge thing in the sense of social media and maybe internet, the way people interact with the internet. So too many stuff to do, too many interests, but I'm gonna try to focus on developing the markets at Thunder, and then helping guys like René, Ben Arc, Fiat Jav, like developing Nostr. At least I'm gonna support them, like promoting them for people to use it, because the tool can be cool, but if there are no users, what are you gonna do? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm really happy to hear that, Koty. I can only encourage you, and maybe you can even use the Bolt.fun tournament as a starting point.
As well, why not? I can come with
some initial funding.
Yeah, maybe I can come with a good project, like a good one to promote Nostr in a nice way. I have to be creative and present something. But yeah. Nice, Moritz.
Cool. Ed, do you wanna say something about the tournament? Like some deadlines, procedures also.
Yeah, of course. So the tournament begins next week. It starts on the 12th of October, and it's going to be running all the way through to the 7th of December. Anyone can take part. You don't have to be technical. You can have never written a line of code in your life. You can just join as a team. You can join either with a project that you already have, or you can join with new makers, or you can hack by yourself. It's totally up to you. And again, we kind of want to see developers, designers, project managers, community managers, meme lords, cats, whoever it is. We want to see them all. So yeah, everyone is welcome to participate. If you want to do so, you can just go to makers.bolt.fun and then /tournaments /1. So what you can do there is you can just register for the event. We'll let you know on Twitter and in Discord and everything like that when everything's going to be happening. But essentially, makers are just going to be hopefully hacking their brains out for about 40 or 50 days, nearly a couple months. And it's going to be a lot of fun. And it's going to be a really great opportunity to just like get hands-on, learn about Lightning and Bitcoin and developing these tools and applications. And hopefully there'll be some great mentors along the way. I think René hopefully maybe volunteered to do one on WebLN. We're going to have a couple of other workshops as well from other companies who are trying to promote their tech stack. And as I said, also with regards to the Shark Tank stuff, this is not just a hackathon where you hack on something and hopefully something never happens after that point. What we really want to encourage is people turning their side projects into actual businesses and actually getting these things contributed to, made and developed out in the open, and just generally like supported and incubated by kind of like the Bitcoin maker community. So if you're interested, it's going to be really fun. There's 60K up for grabs. The winner, actually, the actual grand champion as well, the Legend of Lightning, is going to get a whole Bitcoin. So if you're thinking, I want to join the 1BTC club, and you're spinning wheels or you're buying gift cards or whatever it is, like this is probably going to be the fastest way to do it. Not to slam any of those other, they're all great. I love those rewards and stuff, but this is probably going to be the fastest way to get into the 1BTC club.
Yeah.
So hopefully see you there.
Yeah, it's so exciting. So great what you guys are organizing there. And yeah, thanks a lot also to René and Koty for joining us today.
Thank you for
I
having
really
me.
enjoyed the session.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, I learned a lot about WebLN, value for values, what we mentioned, all the different projects from LNmarkets, Thunder, Alby, Noster, /tags. We will make sure that we put some of all the links also in the description of this video so that everyone can follow up on this. But yeah,
Great.
thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
Thanks, Moritz. Appreciate it.
Cheers.
Bye, guys.
Bye.